Hello, my name is Brendan, and welcome back to Brendan's Film Reviews. Today, we will be discussing the final film of MCU Phase 1, The Avengers, released in 2012. So, with all that information out of the way, let's just get right into this review. To really talk about this movie, I have to discuss the previous 5 movies, as I think they are very important to the Avengers, because without those movies, this movie wouldn't work. This movie works well because these characters have been established, because you know these characters are. This movie isn't interested in giving us an idea of who these characters are, interesting character arcs, character development, because it doesn't need to. We know who these characters are. We saw them in the previous movies. This movie is about seeing these 6 characters work together and defeat Loki. And the same goes for Loki. We already know his motivation. We already know what he wants. Loki works well in this movie too because we already know who his character is. That allows this movie to be fast-paced. This is 2 hours and 23 minutes. And it doesn't feel like that. Those 2 hours go by really quickly because of just how entertaining this movie can be just on its own. It works well because the characters are established and you care about them. However, that is a double-edged sword because not every character in this movie is well established in this universe. And that brings me to what would probably be my first negative of this movie, and that's Hawkeye. Hawkeye is better utilized in later movies, but not in this movie. Of the 6 Avengers that were introduced before this movie, Hawkeye was the only one to not have a major role. He was in Thor for pretty much a cameo. He did not have anything else outside of that, and that hurts Hawkeye because we don't have a good idea of who Hawkeye is. And the movie doesn't help his case because Hawkeye is mind-controlled for the first hour of the movie. So he doesn't really interact with most of these characters until the 1 hour, 15-minute mark or so. Or more specifically, the 1 hour, 20-minute mark, something like that. He doesn't get interactions. We don't understand this character. He's stiff because he's mind-controlled through the first few minutes of this movie, and that hurts him as a character in this movie. My next point goes into the characters themselves and why they're in this movie. Outside of really Hawkeye, every character is in this movie for a reason. They don't just let's just put Iron Man in this movie because everyone knows who he is. Every character in this movie is in this movie for a good reason. Black Widow works for S.H.I.E.L.D. and is used to recruit the Hulk. Hulk is in this movie because Bruce Banner knows gamma radiation, and gamma radiation comes off of the Tesseract. So he is used to track it. Tony Stark is also a tech whiz. He's brought in to also help find the Tesseract. Captain America is a soldier and a leader and knows the Tesseract from his past experience in World War II. And Thor's brought in because Loki's in this movie, and Thor is heavily tied to Loki for the MCU going forward. These characters are all brought in for a reason. Even Hawkeye, who is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, is brought in for that reason. Every character is brought in for a reason. They don't pull a character for no reason. They bring them in for a specific reason. And I think that works well. Also, the team feels natural. They really work well off of one another, and they feel like a team that is learning to work together. The fact that they work together off of the death of Phil Coulson is really powerful and I think works very well in this movie. And it really gives them something to avenge and something to work for. I think that whole scene was really well done, and it really helps the team as a whole. However, this movie isn't without its faults, though. One of my biggest complaints with this movie is the look of the film. The film looks like it was shot as a TV movie. It looks cheaper, and the whole aspect ratio looks a bit weird. It doesn't look awful, and honestly, because of how fast-paced and how interested I am in its story and the characters working together, I don't really notice as the film progresses, but it can be noticeable at points throughout the movie. But overall, that's really my only negative. This is a really, really well done movie. This movie brings together 6 people and makes it work incredibly well. You care about these characters, you want to see them succeed, they have a very interesting story, and it works very well. This movie, for me, gets a 9 out of 10 and is one of Marvel's best films. Thank you so much for watching this video. Join me next time as we've watched the first trilogy end of in the MCU. Thanks so much for watching this video. Have a great rest of your day.